Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Playbook for Performance podcast. I'm your host, Shauna Corden, and my mission is to make work fun again by building better leaders. So this month in the podcast, we're talking about preventing and processing polarization. We've got a new book that's coming out. Real excited. We think it'll be out by year end. And today, specifically, we're going to be talking about what to do in the midst of a polarizing conversation. So you found yourself in this conversation. You're like, oh crap, how did I get here? And what are we going to do about it? How do I either exit stage left gracefully, or if I really am invested in this person and I want to make sure that I continue my relationship with them, what are the things that I can do? Well, I'm here to help you out. So let's get started. So you're in the middle of this conversation. You have discovered, and in my research, this is usually how it happens. Someone launches this little comment like, I think all guns should be outlawed. And they say it because they think they are in a group of people who believe the same thing. And guess what? They go, oh, I misread this group. I didn't see this coming. And so now they're in the middle of this polarizing conversation. So what do? Well, first things first, listen without interrupting. This shows that you respect the other person and you are respecting their right to have their own opinion, even though it may differ from your own. We also want to ask questions to which we don't know the answers. This is not debate club. You are not trying to convince them. I would bet big money, no matter how prepared you are, you're never going to convince this other person. They have arrived at their beliefs over a period of time, and they have data that supports how they think. So, start to get curious. Ask questions to which you do not know the answers. How did they come to this realization? How long have they had it? Do they know others who share this belief? Are there things that they found that are data that are contrary, but they have decided to still hold the belief? Where is it? You really want to ask questions to which you do not know answers. And this is a key practice for strong coaches. So this is clearly coaching 101 here. Number 3, understand what you think it is that they are trying to say and clarify it by paraphrasing. Now, we don't want to do this word for word thing where it sounds like you're aping, but you do want to say, so you've been hunting since you were like 5 years old with your family and everyone in your family's been a hunter? Oh, so you really have a good understanding of guns and gun safety and blah, blah, blah. So really make sure that you understand and clarify it. Now, if you haven't gotten to this part already, do ask them where their belief emerged. Why do they believe, and try not to use the word why because it puts them on the defensive, but how did they come to this belief that guns are important, guns are necessary, whatever it is that they have declared. And then you want to ask yourself, well, what do I share in that belief? And it might be autonomy, it might be self-determination, it might be happiness, it might be safety. What is it that you share about that belief, even though you don't have the same conclusion that they have? What is it that will help you in empathizing with them? And then you want to follow up with asking yourself, why do I feel a need to convince them otherwise? What is so important for me to sway them to my opinion of we should not have guns? Or guns are unsafe? Or guns are the problem? Or guns are the source of violence? Or whatever your belief might be. Ask yourself, why do you feel a need to convince them otherwise? Why can you not have separate, distinct beliefs? What's threatening about that? And then number 7 is, can you and your partner hold differing beliefs? Now, I would say 99% of the time, of course you can. Now, I just happened to see an episode of Big Bang last night, and the couple is trying to decide the name of the son, and the wife wants to name it after her dad, the husband doesn't. That's like one of the very rare situations where you actually have to share the same opinion, the same belief, because A name has to go on the birth certificate. But it's pretty rare that that happens. And even then, they were working out ways to get around it, like nicknames and middle names. Okay? Pretty rare. Okay? Again, we say this over and over again in coaching. Be curious. It's the opposite of judgment. Judgment creates separation. Curious brings you together. Say to yourself, recognize, say this out loud with your conversation partner. This is my belief right now. Right? It doesn't mean that you are married to this forever. It doesn't mean that you can't change your mind. We all have the right to be smarter tomorrow than we were today. So this is only for right now. I know there are a number of key issues that are quite emotional and now emerging to be political in our environment. And I felt quite differently about them 15 years ago. So this is only for now. We all get to be smarter. And then finally, number 10 here, ask yourself, of all of the qualities that this person holds, and I'm going to assume that this person is somewhat close to you. They're an acquaintance, they're a friend, they're a colleague. This is usually not a super stranger, because if they are, you're like, yeah, whatever. You know, you walked on down the street. You don't invest in this. Or some people will see this as a real opportunity, and they will invest with this stranger because there's so much to gain. You know, you don't have these agendas and beliefs. You think, oh, I'm never going to see him again. Maybe it's a conversation on an airplane, something like that. But you do want to ask yourself, of all the qualities that this person holds, you know, what percent of this is this topic an issue? So they might be an awesome dad, great husband, great contributor in the community. They volunteer. They make the world a better place. But they happen to have this belief about guns that's, you know, abhorrent to you. What percent of that person is their gun belief? It's probably pretty small. So, hopefully these 10 tips have been really helpful for you. If you're in the middle of this conversation and you're trying to figure out, what do? I can't exit. I'm sitting next to them in a plane. Okay? Here's how to practice before this situation happens again. Practice by role-playing with a friend. So a couple of weeks ago in the podcast, we talked about engagement. We talked about the 4 issues of what do I give, what do I get, can I grow, and do I belong? And one of the tips that we talked about in the do I belong is, do I have a best friend at work? Do my opinions seem to count? So that is the person you want to go to for this practice. The person whom you trust. So choose a non-threatening topic for this field work. Because remember, we want you to practice this. Coaching without action is just entertainment. Choose a non-threatening topic. Should there be Mountain Dew in the break room on tap? It's probably non-threatening for 99% of us, right? Have the previous page's checklist handy. Okay? If you're listening to the podcast, you can go out to our YouTube channel and take a screenshot. Okay? Where do you struggle in those 10 steps? Is it to ask questions that you don't know answers to? Is it something else? And what's natural to you? Know that the further something is from your natural tendencies, you have to be more intentional. You have to practice. It's just like being flexible. You know, if you can't touch your toes naturally, you know that you need to warm up. You have to practice. It might take you 5 minutes to get there. Okay? And it's okay to say that out loud. It's okay to say, I'm really trying to understand your perspective on the gun issue because it's so foreign to me. You know, I grew up in the inner city. I grew up with pavement. I've never been hunting. I've never been fishing. I don't understand this. You know, it's okay to say those things out loud. It shows that you're trying. But do acknowledge that your partner is important to you. You know, to be able to have a conversation that allows you to grow, to learn new things, to not be that guy that we talked about in the podcast 10 episodes ago. You know, you don't want to be that person, and so you are making this effort. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Doesn't mean that you guys are going to be happy at the end of the conversation, but hopefully you'll shake hands, you'll bump fists, whatever it is, and you're going to say, thanks for engaging with me. I felt like this made me a better person to practice this. That's where we really want you to go with the field work this week. If this was helpful to you, know that I can come and do a workshop for your family before Thanksgiving so that you're not throwing mashed potatoes at each other. I can do this for your work group, your team, your weaving guild. I would love to help. All you have to do is send a message, an email to podcast@ShaunaCorden.com or Shauna@ShaunaCorden.com. We would love to help. We do lunch and learns, half-day workshops, full-day workshops. If this was helpful to you, don't forget to like and subscribe. YouTube will probably say, hey, here's the next video you should watch. So, don't worry, we got lots for you. We're here to help. Until next week, take good care.